For some minutes, I struggled with the exact title to give this episode. Well, I have a lot to say today, but I'll try as much as I can to keep it simple. Let me start by saying the Bible is honestly an underrated life manual. It's the perfect blueprint to life. Anything and everything you want to talk about is fully represented in the Bible, just as sometimes we pay little or no attention. I'll tell you why I'm saying this in a bit, but before we go ahead, I would like to say that the fact that something is true doesn't necessarily mean it's important to talk about it. And as bad as you want to address a situation, some things are better left unsaid. This is a lesson I learned the hard way, and in fact, I am still learning. Take, for example, Jesus in the Bible. With the several questions that were thrown at him, you remember the way he diplomatically answered everything? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Anyways, into the gist of the day. So I have a friend who I met through her boyfriend, who at the time was my friend. We clicked, we got close, we became friends, and then in fact, at the time we shared a space, right? At some point we became like sisters, and through the whole friendship process, I got to know that her relationship wasn't good, like it was bad. She was going through a lot, right? And then we got closer, and then she started to share stuffs with me. All of those gists you get to hear when the relationship gets sour. Yeah, I had a lot of that, and it wasn't so nice, So I was like, okay, let me just see what I can do as a friend, talk to the guy and all of that. So I called him up, and I tried to have a conversation with him, and then he goes, well, he's not bothered. As far as he's concerned, he's not doing anything wrong, blah blah blah. He said a lot of things, yeah. And he said she's hooked, that she's stuck with him, she's not going anywhere, and all of that. I'm like, whoa, really? So much guts, yeah. So that happened, and well, the conversation was heading nowhere, so I ended it, and I told him to just try and be a better person, and that was it. The girls, on the other hand, with the girl, everything was the way it has always been, right? She still wasn't having a good time with him. It wasn't even getting any better, and blah, blah, blah. She was always sad. Every time she had something to say about the relationship, it was always something bad or close to bad, yeah? So that was it for a while. And then I think after one of the episodes, she decided, she can't take this anymore. She wants to move on with her life. And I'm like, okay, I think this is a good thing. This is a good step you're about to take. You have a lot ahead of you. You have your career to grow. You have your education to further. Through the friendship, we talked about a lot of things. Our plans, ambitions, and all of that. And I'm like, how about you focus more on all of those things? Then every other thing can follow along the line. In Nigeria alone, we're about 120 million people, and why would you want to throw all of your happiness and joy away just because of one person? As far as I'm concerned, I don't think that's a wise thing to do, yeah. So she said that, and it seemed like she was actually making steps to move on. And then one day we're having a conversation, and she was sounding like maybe she did not do enough. I must confess, the guy is really manipulative. Like, he can just say things and you will start feeling bad about yourself. So I think she was already at that point, and she was trying to say, maybe she didn't do enough and blah blah blah. And I told her to stop it, to not do that to yourself. You tried. I saw you try, so just stop it and move on, right? If he's yours for real, he'll be back, okay? So that happened, and then I now told her, in fact, this guy you're trying to kill yourself over. Unfortunately, at that point, I think that was where I crossed the line. I spilled, yeah. I said a few things that I know about the guy. Of course, things are not pleasant. I said them to her just so she can know that she deserves better, actually. So I said a few things to her, and that happened, and I can remember that day vividly. Like, she started crying, she threw herself on the floor, and she goes, so you knew all of this and you didn't tell me all along? And I told her, well, I knew all of these things, but you were head over heels. There was no way I could have put that to you at that time. Now you know, so do the needful, right? Yeah, so that happened, and I think a few days after, she shared what I told her with some of her friends, and maybe they asked her questions like, how come Timison knows so much, right? And then I started seeing a little bit of doubts in her. So I told her straight up that, you know what, if you want to ask him, you can go ahead and ask him. Okay, so maybe I also did something wrong there, yeah? Because I didn't know I was the only one he told about, all of these things. I thought a couple of other friends knew, so he wouldn't necessarily know it was coming from me, right? Okay, so, and then she asked him, and immediately she asked him, he just knew straight up, oh, this is Timmy's son, blah blah blah. And then they had their little fight and hung up. Then he came for me. Man, it was really messy. He said all sorts to me. He said terrible, nasty things to me. He was just hitting hard, lashing out at me. And he went as far as saying, oh gosh, I really suffered. Okay, so he went as far as saying, because at that time I wasn't even in a relationship, like my own love life was a mess, sorry. So he went as far as saying, oh, because I'm sad and lonely and bored, I'm trying to ruin other people's happiness. Me now, I was just thinking, as the chairman of Women Supporting Women Association, I did the right thing at that time. But, well, it was the right thing, but was it really necessary to do? That's where the question is. Okay, so that happened. I stuck my head out. I let him say everything he had to say. At the point I couldn't take it anymore, I lashed back at him. I said some not so good things too to him, right? And that was it. Everybody just moved on. And she was like, oh, she's done. So messy, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? 4 weeks later, another friend calls and says, babes, guess what? I'm like, what? She says, they're back together. I'm like, you're joking. She said, no, for real, that she knows what she's saying. Lo and behold, it was true. Well, I felt angry. I felt betrayed. I mean, I stuck out my head for you. If this was all you could do, just 4 weeks not talking to him or whatever, if this was all you could do, why did you make me go through all of that drama, right? And, well, we attend same church, so I was sure to see her on Sunday. And so we saw in church, and I was trying to be very civil about it. I was pissed, I was very angry, but I tried to be civil, and I had to pray personally that God should just help me handle the situation maturely and just move from there. So it was a struggle, I won't lie, it was a struggle for me, but gradually I was just letting go, and I just tried hard to forget everything that happened. And then I must confess, this whole situation, this whole event affected my prayer life, and I just wasn't feeling connected anymore, and I kept praying, trying hard to, get back to where I was with my prayer life, but it was really, really hard. So I thought to myself, what do I do? Okay, so deep down, I just felt the nudge to apologize to the guy. I'm like, what? After all those things he said to me, it was really hard, but I actually did. On his birthday, I sent him a message. A lot of my friends don't know this, but I sent him a message saying, I'm sorry about everything I said to you, and I forgive you for all you said to me, and happy birthday. I sent a message. Of course, I didn't get a response, but it didn't even matter. I did what I had to do, and I think I felt better. Now, with the baby in question, other friends were actually keeping malice with her on my behalf at that time, yeah, but I just couldn't do that. I was even telling them, you know what, there's a lot to life than just sitting down and just staying angry about situations and all. She's in love, obviously, or whatever it is you call that, and it wasn't in my place, to like try to step in, because I wasn't even there when they started dating in the first place, right? So I think I crossed the line, I crossed my boundaries, and that is why I had to take the hit, and it's absolutely okay. But deep down, I was still struggling with, would I say I'd forgiven her? Maybe, yeah, but I was still struggling with freeing up my mind 100% with her. So I just thought, oh, what can I do? And then I called her up. I said, oh, you know what? Let's pray together from time to time. So I told her, okay, on Mondays and Fridays or so. So we started that. We prayed a couple of times. And I will be honest to tell you that all of the weight just left me. Like everything dropped. Everything just went off. right now we're super cool, we're good. I wish her all the best, and I'm sure she does the same for me. Yeah, and that's just it. God has a way of taking away burdens. God has a way of taking away things that we think we might not be able to overcome. God just has a way of taking it off us, especially at times when we don't even pay attention or we don't even notice. So with that said, I would say right now that we should always learn to choose our battles wisely. So well, I'm not trying to go all spiritual, but really, if you look at the book of Samuel, 2 Samuel, actually, chapter 18, it talks about a certain king that went to battle. He eventually won the battle, yeah, but he felt defeated because a lot was lost. So you can read through, yeah, and learn about. You can read through and learn about this whole thing I'm talking about. It's 2 Samuel chapter 18. It actually started in chapter 15. Yeah, chapter 15 to 18. It's called the Pyrrhic victory. You can also Google and check what Pyrrhic victory means. It takes a lot from you. You win a battle, yet you feel defeated. That's just the summary of it all. Choose your battles wisely. You do not have to say everything. Some things are better left unsaid. This is Thames Talk. I'm so sorry. I tried hard to cut this episode very short, but here we are. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, drop a comment. If you have a similar experience, please share and tell us how you handled the situation. And if you're holding grudges against anyone, please try as much as possible to just let it go. God bless you. Bye. So 2 Samuel chapter 18, just read through. You can start from chapter 15 so you understand everything and you will know why it's important to read our Bibles more often, because truly the Bible is like a blueprint. It's a manual. Everything you can think of is right there in the Bible, right? Thank you for listening. Sorry I took your time again today. Well, I'd like for you to drop a comment, say something, and if you've experienced something similar, please share with us. Let us know how you pulled through, and basically I would just like to hear from you. Yeah, and in case you're holding grudges against anybody, please, I beg you, just drop the weight, spread your wings and fly, right? It's Thames Talk. I'm so excited you stayed glued to the end. I really appreciate it. I do not take this for granted, and I promise to keep being true to you guys and true to myself. And thank you for listening.